This happened around Easter of 2016. I was in my early teens at the time and didn't have my driver's license yet, so I was forced to walk everywhere because my parents were always working, and they didn't have time to drive me to most places. Sometimes it was a little annoying, but I didn't mind usually. Like I said before, this was around Easter time, so most parents would take their kids out to the mall. That's why I decided to walk the mall one evening alone. I didn't really have any plans for that day, and I didn't want to just sit around the house by myself, so I decided that I would hang out over there and maybe look around some stores. Maybe possibly get a photograph with the mall Easter bunny. Well, so it just turns out that my wish would come true. As I strolled around the mall looking around a few stores, I came across a huge line leading up towards a platform where the Easter bunny was taking photos with all of the kids. At first, I couldn't see the bunny through all of the people surrounding the place, but then I caught sight of it through the crowd. I was shocked as hell. The bunny honestly looked scary as shit. It definitely wasn't the same bright, happy-looking bunny that I had loved so much as a kid. No, this one looked off somehow. I don't know if it was the costume or makeup, or just the way the person in it was behaving, but the more I looked at it, the creepier it got. Still, it had taken me 20 minutes to walk to the mall, and I didn't want to leave without the picture, so I got in line. I figured that the bunny had to look less creepy up close, so I continued to wait until I finally made it up to the front of the line. About 15 to 20 minutes later, I was finally there. However, the bunny unfortunately looked the complete opposite from what I had expected. The bunny was somehow even creepier up close. I still couldn't quite figure out what it was, but I just felt uneasy around it. I hesitantly sat on the bunny's lap and waited to be photographed. As I sat there, I remembered the bunny whispering something in my ear along the lines of,
"Do you want to eat my carrot, little boy?"
No, sir. I just want a picture.
I took my picture with the bunny as quickly as possible and then got the hell out of there. I still felt very unsettled as I exited the mall. I was pretty disappointed too. I was hoping for a much better experience than I had gotten. I felt better after I left and immediately started walking back home. It had gotten slightly late while I had been inside the mall, and the sun was starting to go down. I hoped that I would make it home before dark. After a few minutes of walking, I decided to take a shortcut through a deserted alleyway. It was honestly rather unsettling walking through there, but I was used to it by that point, and it did save a lot of time. I still felt uneasy for some reason, and something told me that I should get home as fast as possible. Not long after turning into the alleyway, I started to hear footsteps behind me, like someone was following me. I ignored it for a second as I thought it was just my imagination. But then there was no mistaking the sound of footsteps getting louder and louder straight behind me. I suddenly felt scared as hell and immediately turned around to see who was there. And that's when I saw something so utterly terrifying. It was the same bunny from the mall. He stopped as I turned around and stood there motionless, staring at me gauntly. It was completely terrifying. I began to slowly back away. Then out of nowhere, the bunny pulled out a machete and started sprinting towards me, laughing like a psycho. I immediately got the hell out of there and started sprinting down the alleyway, not daring to look back. As I ran, I could hear the bunny's footsteps getting louder behind me. He was gaining on me. Then I felt the bunny's fingertips touch my back, like he was trying to grab me and was almost close enough. I felt like my lungs were about to burst as I sprinted as fast as I could, forcing myself to go even faster. That's when I was able to outrun the bunny as I came flying out of the alleyway and turned down the street to my house. I was so close. I still didn't dare look behind me as I pounded up the steps and flung the door open, slamming it behind me. I immediately told my parents what had happened and they called the cops. I looked out the window, but the bunny was nowhere to be seen. The cops arrived soon after and searched the whole area, but they didn't find anything. The bunny had completely disappeared. The next day, we called the mall to find out who the bunny was. It turned out that the bunny was revealed to be a man named Daniel, who had failed to register as an offender for his past crimes. My parents were immediately sick. Most of the parents in the area caused an outrage when the news came out. They couldn't believe that their kids had been sitting on that psycho's lap. As for me, I don't really share the same love for the Easter Bunny anymore. I still wonder what would have happened to me if the man had caught up to me that night. This story was inspired by a real-life case regarding a 24-year-old man named Daniel Sanderson for failing to register as an offender. Sanderson had been working at the Dakota Square Mall in Myuu. He was hired by a temporary employment service and was posing for photos with mall guests as the Easter Bunny. A spokesperson for the parent company for the Dakota Square Mall released a statement saying that Cherry Hill Photo Enterprise hired Sanderson. They claim that all applicants are, quote-unquote, subject to a strict background screening process. Since then, mall guests have expressed their outrage for Dakota Square Mall for not taking extra precautions with new hires, and for Cherry Hill Photography for not doing proper background checks.
Jeez, these things are going to disintegrate by the time I get there. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hi, Mark. Are you on your way yet? Fred and I are waiting on you.
Yeah, I'm just around the corner. I'll be there in a few seconds. You got plenty of beer, right?
Yeah, Fred's about to grab some. Just hurry up, will ya?
Perfect. I'll see you soon.
Alright, see you soon, Mark.
So this is what Easter's all about, huh? I'm definitely gonna need me some double-D'd Easter eggs to hatch later. Whoa, dude, that was quick. What can I say? I'm dying to have you over. Come on in. Thanks. So, where is everyone? Fred's getting the beers. Everyone else is running a bit late. I guess they're gonna be late to the big game, huh?
Dude, if you're fiending for some booze, then I suggest you check my basement. I may have an extra case of beer stashed somewhere down there. You may also find some trees that I intend to burn later, so don't go stealing any, alright?
Oh, yeah? Say no more. You said it's downstairs, right?
It's in my cooler in the basement. I told you it would be ice cold, didn't I?
Yeah, sure, dude.
Alright, come here. The basement is down past this door over here, but there's just one thing. The lights don't work down there, so you'll need this.
What do you mean the lights don't work? Couldn't you just replace a light bulb?
There's an issue with the circuits. I have an electrician coming next week, but for now, this is what we're working with. Does that suit you, Miss Princess?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Don't mind the mess. You shouldn't have trouble finding it.
I hope not. Whoa.
I told you it was dark down there, didn't I?
Yeah, whatever. I'll see you in a minute, okay?
Hey! What the hell, dude? Stupid freaking weirdo.
Just go down to the basement, Mark. It's not creepy as hell down there at all. Just grab the beer that was supposed to be on the table in the first place. Come back up. No big deal. Not like Mr. Mike could grab it himself. No, not at all. That's not the job of a host. No. My God, this is creepy as hell. Don't worry about the mess, Mark. Just get the freaking beer and get the hell out of here. Whatever. All right, where's the cooler? Cooler.
Come on, Mike. What do you mean? I shouldn't have trouble finding it? You've got a whole junkyard down here. You're a great help, Mike. What the? Are you kidding me? That's your cooler? What kind of animal are you?
Now, let's see if there's really any beer in here after all.
Ah! Jesus Christ! Fred, what the hell? What's happening? Mike, why are you in a bunny costume? And why are you holding a machete? That's you, right? I couldn't find the cooler or the beer. Could you, point out where I'm supposed to look? I'm not trying to intrude or look through anything you don't want me to, you know? That's a great costume you've got there. Hey, slow down. I'm just saying it's very topical, timely, you know? 'Cause it's Easter. I like what you're doing, really. Mike, stop, please. Come on, don't do anything crazy. I'm your friend. I won't tell anyone about this, Mike. Mike, you're not gonna hurt me, right? This story was a dramatized version of a fan-submitted story that allegedly happened in the Easter of 2015. The way the original story was presented was the individual being horrifically tormented by his roommate as a sadistic Easter Sunday prank. The individual lived in a shared student house where he would find himself locked in the basement after getting lured by his roommate on Easter night. After a period of time, the roommate would dress up as an evil Easter bunny and holding a large knife as a prank. The victim has disclosed that he had taken a photograph of the ordeal as evidence. Here's an image of it. The victim claims that he decided not to file any charges toward the roommate out of spite that things would get more awkward in the household. The victim has mentioned that he has since broken off any contact with that particular roommate despite making amends.
This whole thing happened back in the Easter of 2011, when I was still in my mid-teens. I know it doesn't sound like the kind of holiday where something terrible happens, but trust me, I'll never forget how scared I was that night. It all started when I decided to have a sleepover one night. My parents were out of town at a relative's place for Easter that I didn't want to attend, so they let me stay at home since family gatherings weren't really my thing. I didn't want to just sit around by myself for the whole weekend, so I invited my friend Lucas over to spend the night. I figured it was the perfect time as we wouldn't have to worry about bothering my parents, and we could stay up as late as we wanted. So Lucas came over that evening and we chilled the entire night. It was just a typical guy hangout. We watched TV, played video games, and ordered some pizza once we got hungry. Nothing happened that was out of the ordinary. That is, until around 1 in the morning. We were still going strong and were about to start a movie, when suddenly we heard a knock at the door. We were both immediately startled.
Dude, who the hell could be at your house at 1 a.m.?
I don't know. My parents aren't supposed to be back until tomorrow afternoon. I figured I should go see who it was, but I felt very uneasy. There didn't seem to be any good reason that someone would be knocking on the door so late at night. Still, I didn't think I should just ignore it, so I slowly got up and walked towards the door. I stopped a few steps away from the door and called out to whoever was behind it. "Who is it?" There was no response, but the knocking stopped suddenly. Now there was only this eerie silence coming from the other side of the door. By that point, I was really freaked out, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go back and tell Lucas that I was too scared to check the door though. Just as I was about to open the door, I realized I should probably check the peephole first. And when I did, I saw the creepiest thing ever. There was the scariest looking Easter bunny that I'd ever seen, standing right in front of the door. I couldn't believe my eyes. The bunny was holding a large blade, like a machete of some sort. Before I could even react, the bunny started hacking at the door, trying to break it down. I stumbled backwards from the door as Lucas came running up to find out what was happening.
What is it? What's wrong? Go back to the den room! Call the cops! What? Why? What's going on?
Just as he said that, the bunny's blade broke through part of the door. Then we could see his face peering in from the other side.
Go! Go! Go!
We both sprinted back to the den room and slammed the door behind us. I started piling furniture in front of the door as Lucas called the cops. We were both scared out of our minds. Then, out of nowhere, we heard the front door smash open, and the bunny came running inside. We both stood there as silently as we could, hoping that he wouldn't come to our room first. I could have sliced the tension in the room with a knife. Me and Lucas stared at each other, hoping that this wasn't going to be our last night alive. There was a brief moment of silence, but then all of a sudden, there was a loud bang as the bunny began hacking at the den room door. I pushed even more furniture up against the door and did everything I could to prevent the bunny from getting in while Lucas spoke to the police.
Hello, police? Please come quick. There's a man trying to kill us. He has some sort of knife and he's broken into our house. Help!
Debris flew into my face as the bunny continued to hack at the door. I watched through the pile of furniture in horror as he made several holes with his blade actually come completely through. I could even see him staring at us through the holes in the door as he continued to slash away at it.
Don't be scared. It's just the Easter Bunny. I won't hurt you.
The banging continued for several more seconds, and I was sure he was going to break through, when all of a sudden, it stopped. Do you think he's gone? I don't know. Why would he just leave? It seemed like the bunny had indeed left. We waited in that same room until the cops arrived. 30 minutes felt like 30 hours as we waited behind the pile of furniture, hoping we wouldn't see that bunny again. When the cops finally got there, they didn't find anything besides a few damaged items. The bunny was nowhere to be seen. The cops asked me and Lucas a few questions and then called my parents to inform them of what happened. But beyond that, they weren't much help. My parents ended up coming back that same night, terrified that something like that could have happened. The cops never found any bunny within the area either. He had disappeared. No one knew who the man in the costume was or what his motives were. The whole situation passed without anything ever happening. My family and I eventually moved out 2 months later. We couldn't live with the constant paranoia that the bunny would come back to finish what he started. We never heard anything about the bunny again, until a few years later. I decided to Google our old address one day to see if I could find anything out, and I was shocked by what I came across. Apparently, it was alleged that the new homeowners had been attacked and robbed in their home after a year and a few months of moving in. No one knew who the culprit was, but the door seemed to have been broken down with some sort of blade. I was completely traumatized after that. I realized then that if my family and I hadn't moved out, that could have been us. This story was inspired by a horrific Easter home invasion case that happened in 2014. The Kitsap County Sheriff's Office are looking for a man named Jason Lee Longshore in relation to a robbery of a home. The Sheriff's Office issued a warrant for Longshore for first-degree robbery. Longshore is the second suspect in the home invasion in which 2 men had allegedly masked up and entered a home, holding the residents inside against their will and robbing them of several $100s in cash and other valuables. The 2 suspects then drove away from the home. The first suspect, Jacob Lewis DeBeck, was arrested, but Longshore remains to be found and has since been on the run.